Well now, we're up to 13 colonies, so I'm afraid our poor little manual honey extractor here, yeah, I just ordered an electric extractor this morning. So last Wednesday, I came out to the park just to do a little cleanup. Didn't have my camera with me. And our number 7 hive back there had bees boiling out of it. And that familiar roar was in the air. Closer inspection, yeah, it looked like they were initiating a swarm. Now, when the bees boil out of the front like that, what they're trying to do is they're trying to push the old queen out of the hive. Once she is out of the hive, that's it. It's over. You have a swarm. They're taking off. So what I did is I blocked the entrance of the hive. And you wait a few minutes, see what happens. If the queen is in the air, the swarm is going to issue. If the queen is still in the hive, though, they don't know what to do. And that was the case here. They started clustering back onto the hive. So I opened up the screen board at the bottom and smoked the heck out of them. Smoke the heck out of the top, and the idea is you get them all disrupted and maybe they kind of lose track of what they were doing. I then began to smoke and brush all the bees that were covering the hive down towards the entrance, open the entrance up, and was able to get them corralled for the best part back into the hive. They were headed back in because they thought there was a forest fire, So at that point in time, I knew I had to take some fast action. Didn't have my tripod, didn't have my setup, and there just wasn't time. But what I did do is I brought back a couple of screen blocks and I took the hive apart, separating each section on the ground with screen blocks. Went into the deep super at the bottom where I figured most of the action was, and sure enough, there were 4 capped queen cells in there. So cut them out. Slowly reassembled the hive, checked everything out to make sure there weren't any that I missed, and put it back together, and they seemed to be pretty calm. Kept an eye on it the rest of the day. They seemed to remain calm. Now, I didn't set their vigil for the next 24 hours. I can't be perfectly sure that a swarm didn't leave that hive, but population-wise, it looked solid. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go into that hive, because if perchance the queen did escape, or maybe in the craziness, the queen got injured or killed, now that colony would be queenless because I took out the queen cells that would have, replaced her. So we want to go in there and try to find, young brood, something to indicate that in the last 4 days, a queen was actually in there still laying eggs. And if we see superseed cells at this point, I don't think I'm going to pull them. If there's swarm cups, then we'll pull those. So we're going to go in there, but it was a really nice adventure. Unfortunately, not caught on video. So we'll take a look in there now. So there's a few things I like to keep handy when we're in swarm and robbing season. One is a spacer, and the second is one of these limited ventilation screen boards. And the reason being is you keep whatever you're working on covered. So in swarm season for obvious reasons, but also in robbing season. So with that, let's take a look at this hive. As you can see, we don't seem to have a population problem. Looks like we actually have a vented cover up here to let air flow in and out. Getting good draw out. That's what I want to see. The excluder is coming with it. Well, the bees over here. This looks fully drawn. Well now, there we go. We have another swarm issuing. So, first thing to do, block off the entrance. Let's see what happens. If she got out, we have a swarm. If not, they're contained, at least for now. And we'll deal with this in a little while. So, back to where we are while they make up their mind what they're doing over there. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, which is also known as Eastern Standard Swarm Time. For some reason, the majority of swarms that I've seen happen at 10 in the morning. I don't know why. Sun comes up, nice day, and they go, wow, we got other queen coming? It's time to leave. Well, we're starting off with a solid frame of resources. Young larvae, nothing that couldn't have been laid prior to Wednesday. One young larva. If anybody spots a queen, just put it in the comments below. This hive is not acting queenless. Lots and lots of brood. Hit, queen cell. Emerged queen cell. Interesting. So, if they didn't swarm on the building or capping of the queen cell, they may have actually hatched a queen this last week. Most, including myself, believe that once they're capped, that's when the swarm occurs. But I'll admit that I've seen plenty of cases where the swarm seems to occur after the queen is hatched. I believe I see eggs. We have a superseed cell there. I'm not going to cut it out because I'm not perfectly sure that I saw eggs. The bees next door, the hive that's initiating the swarm, are not too happy right now. They're bottled up in their hive. I do not think, I mean, I'm seeing cleaned out cells, but I just do not see any eggs or milk brood. So I'm going to chance it a little bit and leave that superseed cell in there. I mean, this hive has tons of brood. And that's fairly young larvae. nothing that I would say is 3 days old or less. That roar you hear is the girls next door. Still a lot of them in the air, not knowing what to do right now. Can we stop a second swarm in this other hive? I don't know. We're gonna sure try. Again, they're collecting back at the hive out of the air, so that's a good thing. As to whether I have truly can get this one under control or not, I don't know. I'm going to pause it while I decide whether I'm going to split this hive or just try to do what I did to hive number 7 next to it. So, I'm going to try to move that hive and do an emergency split. Prepping up another body here, and we'll take it back there and put the empty body where the hive was, move the hive to the new location, and then try to move queen cells over to the old location and hopefully leave the queen at the new location without the bees taking to the air and flying away. Let's see how this goes. You may be about to witness a success or a disaster. I'm not sure which yet, but I've got another empty hive prepped, and we're gonna try to do this move, and we'll just see how it happens. So we reduced this down to 1 deep. I put everything else in a sealed area there. Give a judgment on the weight. Oh, it's heavy. Stage 1 is kind of complete. So now I'm going to try to inspect that guy and move the queen cells back to that one. Let's see. It's going to be a little tricky. Resource frame. Keep this one. Road. Give them this one. Queenies, queen cells capped and emerged. But do we see a queen? So, I don't know. But this one gets moved. That's queen cells. Resources. Having this far open is where things start getting tricky. Capped brood. Another queen cell. another queen cell. Kind of an empty frame. Not too worried about losing the capped queen right now because there's so many in that other colony. I'm more worried about getting the queen over to this one. Ideally, the capped queen cell should be in the old colony and the queen should be in the new colony. That way they kind of think they already swarmed, and then they'll raise and mate a new queen. But if the queen is still over there, that colony may still swarm, although it's incredibly weakened because we moved so much of it over here. There was always the possibility that she's in the medium over here. These girls seem to be happy, so our attention now goes over here. Did we move the queen, or is she still here? That's an ugly comb. This is definitely a frame that came out of that 17-year-old hive. I should dump it next year if the bees have moved off of it during the winter. This one will go in the trash. Right now there's too much abuse still there. Yeah, that's honey. Solid honey. Solid honey that I damaged by moving things around. That'll give them something to do. There's brood here. I don't see any eggs.
There's plenty of queen cells though. Plenty of drones. Yeah. No eggs down here might mean she's upstairs. She didn't get out of the hive this morning. They started that activity when I was back here. This is known as checkerboarding. It reduces the density. I don't know. I just learned how to find out. Take this sucker apart and look for a queen. We know she would not have been above the excluder. And I had just dumped some empty frames in this. She's up here. I hope she doesn't scoot downstairs while I'm doing this. So, the thing about splitting colonies, you have that many more to manage. However, if you have the ability to do it, you can always recombine colonies that are weak. What you can't necessarily get is the swarm that took off and left the bee park. So this hive is noisy. It might mean they're queenless. So did we avert a swarm today? Yeah. Will they swarm tomorrow? Well, stay tuned. Bees are bees. They're going to do what they want to do. But by splitting the hives, we really knock down the size of their resources. As to which one has the queen, I'm not perfectly sure. But I'll come back tomorrow. We'll see which one of these colonies is a little bit louder. This one seems to be quiet, so we may have successfully moved the queen to the new location, which is always the goal. The saga continues. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on What's the Buzz?